Music comes from scales of some sort or another. The most common scale that we use in Western music is called the major scale, and C major scale is the easy one. It's taken from the piano. Now, I always think of the piano as the governor, the mother of all music, if you like. It's set in stone. We can't change anything about the piano. So we're going to take the notes of the C major scale, which is all the white notes on the piano, starting from C and going through our alphabet. So let's just play along with this scale in a minute, and I'm going to use the metronome. And this is my favourite tool on the planet when I'm learning anything new. You can drop the tempo, you can learn to speed up. Okay, so try and start initially working with the metronome and trying to keep in time with it. Okay, so here's the C major scale. Left hand and right hand are very important to work together. You kind of, after a while, you'll think of them as one thing, one entity. So don't try and think of them as separate at the moment. Okay, left hand. Somewhere near the back of the fretboard, your thumb needs to be nice and relaxed. Don't whack it over the top. You're going to restrict the motion there. Okay? A lot of guys will be playing over that and you'll see that technically that's wrong. There are going to be some points where we are going to need that thumb on there just to help us with bends and things like that. But for the moment, keep a nice low thumb. Okay. So here's the C major scale. Right hand. Down and up picking. Alternate picking. Okay? Too many guys do this. That's all downstrokes, but if you notice, every time you go down, you have to go back up. So you just as well hit the note on the way back up. You get twice as much. It's called the economy of motion. In other words, it's just lazy. Okay, so that's alternate picking, left hand technique. Here we go. Staying very close to the fretboard, they're not flying off the face of the planet. A good thing to do is imagine a bar here that you cannot lift your fingers past. Obviously when you start to shred and start to rip, you want those fingers really light and close to the fretboard, okay? Almost dancing there. Okay? Now this is what I call the baby scale. I never use this because the picking hand changes every time. Here I'm playing 2 notes, here I'm playing 3 notes. So it changes. And then here, the fingers change. So I'm going from this shape to that shape, and it's very uncomfortable. So here's the shape that I use. I take this C note, because these notes are repeated all over the fretboard, you can play a C note in many places. Okay? So I'm going to start this shape, and this is what we call the 3-note per string pattern. Okay? And we'll play this over 2 octaves so you can get the full view of the whole shape. I'm going to ascend and I'm going to descend. Okay, let's do that one more time. Take a look at that right hand as well, alternate picking, down and up all the way through. Now the beauty about guitar playing is once you've learnt one shape, you can transpose it or you can move it to another place. It will be the same thing. So therefore C major scale, when we move it down to the starting note of, let's say, A, will become the A major scale, but you're playing the same shape. Let me do that for you. Again, work with the metronome. If we wanted to move that to B major, we just take the whole thing up to the starting point of B and we play the same shape. Let's do that one. shape. Now this may seem a little bit complicated for you at first. If that's a problem for you playing the 3 notes and it's a bit of a stretch, start with the baby one. Okay? Next we're going to look at the minor scale. So the minor scale is kind of like the dark half of the major scale. It's kind of a brother, and there's a relationship that forms between the two. Now this for me is probably the nicest scale that we ever need to learn as guitar players. It's moody, it's dark, and it allows us to be a little bit more expressive. It's not so sweet and nice as the major scale. So here is the minor scale. Again, this comes from the piano. And this one starts, if we want to use just all the white notes, starts from the note of A. So this is A minor. Here we go. Now instantly you can hear that darkness in it, okay? Let me play that over 2 octaves, you can get that better picture of it. So same principles, keep the hand nice and flat to the fretboard. Again, these fingers not moving out. Imagine that bar. Right hand down and up and down and up. Okay? Now the beauty about this scale is it leads us to the most commonly used scale by any guitar player on the planet. It is the most versatile scale that you're going to come across, and it's known as the pentatonic. The pentatonic, pent meaning 5, so this is a 5-note scale. It comes from the minor scale, but we're going to leave out 2 notes from the scale. Let me just show you the ones that we're leaving out. On the first 3 notes, I played A, B, and C. We're going to leave out B. So we've got a huge jump there to start with our first one. And if you remember this, guitar players, it's that shape. Okay? So instead of that, which is kind of obvious, we've created a bigger distance between the first note and the 3rd note. Now this is known as what they call a minor third. Okay, you'll hear me talk about that a lot later on, and I'll go into further detail. But for now, just think about the shape and the distance. Okay, on the next string we had D, E, and F. I'm going to leave out the F. So we've now got D and E. So the first 4 notes now, we've got A, C, D, and E. And if we add the next 2, we've got G and A. So there's our 5-note scale. Okay, now it's starting to sound a little bit more interesting. We can add another note to that, and then we're going to make this into the blues scale. Now the blues scale is again one of the most versatile scales that guitarists are going to use. We're going to add a middle note to the 2nd string right in there, and we get what they call a chromatic run, which is literally 1 note after another. Okay, it's starting to sound very bluesy now. Let me play that one for you. Okay, now if we play that over 2 octaves, and I'll use the metronome for this one, we can repeat that extra note again. Here we go. Very cool scale. Okay, so that's a basic overview of a couple of scales. We've looked at the major scale, the minor scale, the pentatonic and the blues scale, and they all come from the major scale. So this is why the most important scale that you're going to learn today is the major scale. Everything is born from that. In the next section we're going to start to look at chords. Okay?